Hello, I'm Dr. Maria Brown. I'm a researcher at Syracuse University and a lesbian, and I've had breast cancer twice. And during my second diagnosis process, which was much more frightening than my first because it was my second one, but it was also an invasive cancer, I started looking for information about women like me who've had breast cancer. So I didn't know any women in my local community who were lesbian or bisexual or queer who had had my particular kind of breast cancer. So I started looking for books, and back then it was 2007, so I wasn't even on Facebook yet. There were not a lot of online resources like there are now. Things have changed very rapidly since then. But I went looking for books. I found two books really written by lesbians who've had breast cancer: Audre Lorde's Cancer Journals, which was published first in 1980, and Cancer in Two Voices, which was published in 1991. So both of these books, while they're very good, are out of print and difficult to find. Other memoirs, which are also good, straight. Not about the hair. Deborah Jarvis, good book, but she is straight, and she writes for straight women like herself. This is a stand-up comedian. She's also straight. So I wanted to create a resource for women like me to find that would tell them what's it like to be a woman like me facing breast cancer. Similar to some of the survivor literature out there, like this book, I Am Not My Breast Cancer. There's a lot of really interesting information here for straight women about what's it like to have had breast cancer, but there's really nothing in here for lesbians. There are two quotes by women who identify as lesbians, and they are in the sex section only. Apparently none of these other things matter to us. Look at all those other things. And so I want to create a book similar to this, but with stories by sexual and gender minority women about their experiences having breast cancer. So to do that, I've started collecting data in an online survey. There's a link to the survey on this page in case you're interested in reading about this study and how I protect confidentiality and all that. And in this survey, I ask a series of questions up front about were you out to your healthcare providers? Were they respectful of your relationships? There's a set of questions about how breast cancer treatment and surgeries have affected your body image. And then on the back end of the survey, there's a series of open-ended, or what we call qualitative questions, which ask women to tell me in their own voices what's it like to have breast cancer. And that's what I'll be putting in the book. Their voices, their words for other women to find. So I'm looking for women who are lesbian or bisexual or queer, or who identify as straight but also have relationships with women, or women who identify as genderqueer or trans, or who are trans men now but used to be women, or trans women now but used to be men, and all you have to have had is breast cancer to qualify. Member of those groups and had breast cancer to qualify for this study. So I've tried to get traditional funding and have not been successful. Very few people are researching this topic about particularly our communities, and so it's hard to get funding for it. So I'm looking to you to help me pay for it. If I get the funding, I can recruit women through Susan B. Love's Army of Women. That's about 100,000 breast cancer survivors in that army. If 10% of them are members of our community, then that's a lot of information I could potentially access. So that's what I'm asking for the funding for. I hope you'll consider funding the survey. If you qualify or know someone who'll qualify, I hope you'll take the survey. Thank you very much for your time.